Hello, my friend, and welcome back. This is TJ Anderson, your host here at the Healthy Couple Summit. Welcome to another amazing interview where I'm honored to interview top health and relationship experts on their tips for you to grow in health and relationship together with your partner. And today I'm joined with two delightful guests who practice what they preach and in more ways than one. We're going to be diving in a second. I want to welcome Satyan and Suzanne Raja. Satyan is the founder and CEO of Warrior Sage, transformational agency, impacted over 100,000 students from over 50 countries all around the world. And his partner, his wife, Suzanne Raja, is the embodiment of true feminine radiance and of deep feminine power. This is my favorite part right here. Simply being in Suzanne's presence brings men into their depth and women into their natural glow. Susan does not just practice what she teaches, she is what she teaches. Suzanne is love. So without further ado, welcome you two to the Healthy Couple Summit.
Thank you.
Thanks for a wonderful introduction, TJ. Let's have a lot of fun today, all right?
Amen to that. Beautiful. So those are quite the bios, quite the background. You two obviously have been doing lots of work in this space for others in relationship and lots of different areas, which we can unpack. But you've also been in relationship quite a long time yourself, personally. And I think you said before we hit record, 33 years now. So when did you guys make the transition to like, okay, you're in this really powerful relationship? When did you start providing support and guidance for other people and couples out there in the work you're doing?
Well, we started in relationship. We were good friends in high school. And then after high school, we became lovers and then boyfriend, girlfriend, and then eventually fiance. And we got married 8 years after that. And about a decade into our relationship, we had a very thriving relationship, lots of love. Then the kids came. And, we have, now they're 22 or 23 and 21, but back then they were young kids. So we were like, okay, all that energy was going into relationship, our raising of the children and moving away from us. So we were finding, we had love, but how can we keep our passion, our sexual aliveness, our connection to the next level? And we've always been dedicated, devoted to evolving each other and with each other. So that's when we met our mentor. And I know you've had other people influenced by David Data, but David Data has been one of our foundational mentors from many, many years ago, 20 years ago. And when we came to his seminars and his teachings, it was like lights went off. Like, wow, here's the difference between masculine and feminine, which we'll share about. But that was our journey. So we've been leading seminars for about 20 years for couples and singles around the world.
Amazing. So you talk about the periods, the stages, right? There's natural stages of relationship, and so you went from being in high school to lovers to being married, and then the children, 10-year primary focus of raising the children. It sounds like when you noticed there was some challenge, like less energy going into each other for your relationship, and honestly, that's kind of part of our intention with the summit here. And one of the challenges, a lot of the challenge I hear from couples in terms of like, a challenge around sex life or level of health and just overall relationship is the children. It's a curveball. It's a new variable. And so that's one that I don't have personal experience with. So Amanda and I are engaged to be married, no kids yet. We do intend to have one. It sounds like you discovered David Dita's work, which when I read The Way of the Superior Man, I was in my early 20s, and like you, the light bulb went off. And I know he's got lots of other great works and books out there too. What was the biggest light bulb moment that went off for you when you were in one of the seminars learning from David? What specifically, you mentioned masculine, feminine, but like, what was the kind of the crux of it? What were the challenges you were guys going through, and how was it helpful?
Great questions. So, we young couple with young children, I knew that I wanted to be a mother ever since I knew myself. I mean, you know, you hear about the biological clock ticking. Mine was like Big Ben. Mine was that big. So when we had children, they became my worlds.
Yeah.
I poured all of me into them. And like happens, you know, when you have young children and all of that, I started to just pour myself so much into the kids that I wasn't there as much for Satyan. The person said turning away from me, he learned about David Data. He had found out through his mentor, one of his mentors, about David, and he's like, okay, we're out of here. We're gonna go learn some stuff. So thankfully we had support, and we went to our first event with him. And because my world was the kids, I was with the kids, worrying about the children, went into this event with my partner and fell in passionately, not just love, but passionately in love with him. I got my groove back. You know, we got our groove back, and it was like, oh, wait a minute. You know, the lights went off for me. As a woman, I was like, okay, I want more of this. And who can I tell about this? we were turned on again, which is the most important thing. And our relationship was just on fire, and we were on fire. So,
Woo.
yeah.
So that was that, and it sounds like it woke something up in your bodies too. You know, not just like the mind going to learn, but it's embracing, you know, the subtle energetics and the masculine and feminine energies and what those mean. And I know that's a core part of your work now, both personally and professionally. So in terms of that aliveness, Satyan, kudos for you, by the way, on like, you know, you didn't have to say yes to that event. It sounds like you learned about it from your mentor and you leaned in, which is a huge principle that like I'm continuing learning. Like we're always learning, like the value of just leaning into your relationship, your vulnerabilities, your vulnerabilities. So, okay. So you guys have this light bulb, you have this powerful, passionate, reawakening of passion in your relationship. And then you started to transition into your work. What have you found now in your, you know, dozens of years of working with couples and singles now? Like, what are the bigger challenges that they're going through? You know, yes, kids might be a big challenge there, but like, where are things not clicking? Like what, you know?
This is a good question. Well, let's boil it right down to the core, all right? And we'll share right to the core and what we've learned regarding the dynamics of how to keep that passion alive.
Beautiful.
Doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world, kids, business, health, this and this. The essence of what we've found is either there's devotion to each other's evolution, or you're fighting about bullshit and superficial shit. So you can choose to stay superficial. You can wallow around in the stuff of life and the dynamics, the human dynamics, the old dynamics that we pick up from our parents. And we can try to fight and assert my dynamics on her, her dynamics on me. Or we can make a decision to evolve deeper with each other more than we could without each other. Regardless of what method, techniques, systems, styles, philosophies of relationship you pick up, we've discovered that the most important thing that we have is, and that we can cultivate and keep nurturing, is fostering our devotion to each other's evolution. So I'm looking at Suzanne daily, weekly. What's this great woman capable of, for not only for her, but for the world? How can I be of service to that? And she does that for me since day one.
That's
She's
beautiful.
always looking at me, not just as a guy, not just as her lover, not just as a man or provider, but myself as someone who has a gift for the world. And she's constantly supporting that in me more than the superficiality of my everyday personality. That bond, that dedication, ultimately that spiritual devotion to each other's evolution, that is the fuel that will feed all the other methods, techniques, philosophies. Without that, nothing happens.
Got it. Wow. So that's the foundation. So I hadn't heard it put that way. The devotion to each other's evolution. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that there's a big spiritual component of that. And you know, you're not living, you're choosing, you're making the intentional conscious choice to not like live on the superficial level shit, but do the deep work and support each other on each other's deep gifts, deep dharma callings.
Yes.
And but that devotion almost, that energetically, like I got emotional. I don't know, I was starting to get teary eyed just hearing you share, and just witnessing your guys' devotion to each other. It's like devotion almost feels like a certain level of vibration of love, you know, like, I'm sorry, I'm just getting emotional, man. I didn't plan this. I'm sorry, guys.
Don't be sorry. This is
I know.
Thank you for being real.
Thank you for feeling us and acknowledging this, because we learned this the hard way. We learned this through a lot of painful tears.
Right.
We learned this through going through shitty affairs, learned it through treating each other like shit when we didn't want to, out of our reactivity, out of our shallowness, if you will. But then when we decided, we made a decision, right?
You know, we learned from the pain, and we're also benefiting so much from, and that's what brings tears to me. That's what brings goosebumps to me, is the fact that this devotion, this fueling of each other's gifts, each other's what we're here to bring, and seeing that and be happy for that, being cheering each other on so much. And for us in day one, because we met as friends. That's the thing. We were friends first, and we continue to see the best in each other. And when we grow, we both grow.
Right.
When we're succeeding, we're both succeeding. Everyone's succeeding.
Right. And that's the magic, you know, when they say like the power of, you know, some other people have said like, oh, when it becomes official through like legal marriage, that's like on its own a whole next level. It can be a commitment, a whole like, which can have an energetic shift to that deeper devotion and commitment. But the idea around, you know, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? And you know, I've read books on Dharma, and it talks about a little bit around how like, and Amanda and I talk about this as well in relationship, around how each of us naturally, as male and female, have different paths or callings or natural tendencies towards Dharma, right? I don't know if you guys have found that to be true in a certain way, right? Where we're like, women might have like the natural calling to like procreate, like you said, and create and lead and own and go all in on the family and the children. Like that was a big part of your Dharma, I imagine, Suzanne. And then Satyan, for men, like owning their work, their Dharma, their gifts that they're called to share. And this devotion is like next level support that amplifies each other's collective Dharma and individual Dharmas.
And you know, it's something I can rest and trust in. The world's a tough freaking place.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of shit every day, but to know that I can just lean into my beloved, she can lean into me. Right? Suzanne talks about tango. You'll share about that, but I'll share about this because she lives this really well. Okay.
Sweet.
So another part of my world is movement. So movement dance for me is a way for my feminine to be replenished. So this is the world that I speak from and move from. And so in terms of relationship, what you want to imagine is like a tango dancers. You know, tango dancers are hot, they're spicy, they're sexy, they're alive, they're passionate, you know? And so what you don't see when you see tango dancers, they don't speak to each other and say, go left, go right, do this, do that. They don't do that, but they're seamless.
Yeah.
And they're moving as one. But before they even start to dance, what happens is you'll notice that they're not standing up straight. It's not like they're on their own. They are together, but they're not leaning away from each other. They're leaning towards each other, but they're not leaning in such a way that if one moves back, the other one's going to fall over.
Right.
They're leaning from a place of power and strength, each one of them, and they're leaning towards each other from a place of power and strength. And each one of them has a role, though. So one is going to be the one that holds the support and is guiding the direction. And the other one is going to be the receptive, receiving the direction from power. So we'll speak about what we have discovered unlocks passion. And from that place, I'll speak about how we dance and how we move the ship of relationship.
Yes, great metaphor. I've heard the general metaphor as like doing a dance in a relationship, right? But if you don't have understanding around principles of dance, then the metaphor doesn't quite land for people. But you broke it down and explained, right? So like one person is doing a little bit more of the leading, and vice versa, but you're not like you're powerful, you're steadfast, you're leaning on each other, but you're not fully dependent. Whereas if the other one falls off, you fall off, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So you complete people in your power coming together and break down the dance down for you. We have the steps.
Yes, tell me, bring them. Let's hear the steps.
So let us share with you. Let us share with you some of the foundations, the essence of how to keep passion alive. Okay.
Right.
So there's three things happening in a relationship. You're either neutralizing your sexual energy, or you are either attracting each other, repelling, neutralizing, flattening it, or calling each other, creating that spark. How you repel each other. Imagine if there's two magnets with two north poles. If I'm in my masculine direction, hey honey, let's go for Chinese today. No, she says, no, let's go for Mexican. Then we're butting heads with each other. Two directions will cause repulsion. So sometimes Suzanne will say, hey honey, let's go for Chinese today. And I'll go, sure, love, that sounds like a great idea. I have relaxed and allowed that lead. Sometimes I'll say, hey honey, let's go for a Mexican tonight. She'll say, yes, beloved, what a great idea. So this natural play, rather than butting heads, two masculines don't work. Now, if you have two feminines, right? Hey honey, what do you want to do for dinner? I don't know. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I have no idea.
What do you feel like?
I'm not sure.
So now that actually depolarizes and flattens the relationship because no one is taking an active lead and surrender space for a game, a playful game. Now, when one is consciously in their masculine, one is consciously
in their feminine, then we have a dance.
Yes.
Then we have a dance.
So now it's beloved. Friday night, wear something red and maybe bring a coat. We're going to go outside for a little bit. It's going to be a total surprise. Don't ask me, but be ready, okay? So,
yes!
you're playing the game of magnifying these polarities for the purpose of passion and joy and playfulness.
For the greater good of the relationship, passion, love, and playfulness.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, let's break that down even further.
Okay.
Imagine the masculine energy is like a triangle from earth to the heavens, like a mountain, a phallus energy. And the feminine is the opposite. It's from the heavens down to here, earth, on earth. So,
right.
So it's shaped like the yoni, shaped like
right.
the vagina.
The vagina.
Right.
And there are points to this.
And it's like Mother Earth energy too, right? Which is,
yes,
where it's like Father Skies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So now let's break that down even further. So masculine, three components of these.
Yep.
Presence, claim, and penetration. Now, presence is I'm really there. I'm showing up. So sometimes if I'm tired, I finished work, I'm half-assed there, rather than just give weak presence or broken presence or distraction, I'll
Yeah.
let Suzanne know, honey, I'm tired right now. I'm gonna take a nap, or I'm gonna go for a walk. I'll see you. When I come back, I'm gonna give you my full presence.
Yeah, great.
So presence evokes the reciprocal energy in the feminine, which is
invitation. So invitation is like, yes, beloved, this is so, thank you so much for that. And invitation is also, how inviting are you? How much does he want to be present with you? So if he's saying, well, you know, I can't spend this time with you right now, but when I have the time, then I can be there with you. If you're just like, okay, well, or if you're like, yes, that you're even thinking that you're going to put that time aside.
Right.
For that, that's inviting. That's making him even more so wanting to be there.
Right. And by bringing it up, it was interesting. One thing to reflect on is I noticed that when you first shared, it was like, oh, right now, don't have the time, but you created space by agreeing or committing and proposing a time in the future where that space, it's like you pre-prepared that container, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And for her, invitation is that, you know, why would he want to be there? Create the space.
Right.
So it's you know, you want to come to the party. So how are you going to create the space that he's going to want to show up?
So presence and invitation are the masculine and the feminine.
Exactly.
Got it. All right.
The other is, so if I'm not present, if I'm half-assed present, how can I expect her to be inviting? If she's not too inviting, it's not going to want me to be present if she's. So you have to give the very thing. You have to offer out of your heart presence, offer out of your heart this invitation. Then it works. But it's only one of the dynamics we can work.
Right.
The second, claim and invitation, or sorry, claim and surrender. So claim is that feeling of, I am here. You can trust me. This is what I stand for. These are my values. And beloved, you're mine.
Oh, yeah. So surrender is like that, you know, when your partner says, you are mine, or is wanting to claim the moment or claim the relationship. So often we take our time and I don't know if I can trust this, I'm not sure. But surrender is trusting that part of your partner that you fell in love with the very first time. Very first time. Because there was something that you trusted, that you said yes to, that is still very much alive. And to the extent that you let go and you say, yeah, I want to come with you. That's surrender. But it's surrender from choice. It's surrender from, remember in the beginning, we said strong people coming together.
Yeah.
It's surrender from my power to say yes, from my truth.
And this can switch. She can claim me and I can surrender to her. So it's not men need to do this, women need to do that. We're giving you, it's the play of it.
Right. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. It's because individually, we all, from what I've learned personally and from other guests, have some balance and internal play of our own masculine and feminine, right? So just because you're a male does not mean you have to always be in your masculine, and vice versa with women and feminine. That play, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a
claim him.
And I like to be
love to claim him. I mean, I don't want to not be able to claim him.
Right. Exactly. And you talked about surrendering, which perhaps oftentimes people might think of surrendering as not from a place of empowerment or choice, right? And your example there to his masculine claim is like a choice of surrendering. That was, I just wanted to reflect on that. That was beautiful.
Surrender is the willingness to loosen the grip of control and be guided. That's the essence, is to loosen the grip of control and to be guided by your lover, to be guided by spirit, to be guided by Gaia, to be guided by your heart.
Guided by your own soul. So your own soul may be saying, not now, beloved.
Right.
not now. And from that, you surrender into that for the sake of your relationship.
Yeah, that's a great definition on surrender. I appreciate you sharing that. Loosening the grip of control, which I think we could all use a couple doses of that every now and then.
We want to share the last part of the
Yes.
triangle. Presence, claim, penetration, masculine triangle.
Yes.
Feminine upside down, downward yoni, invitation, surrender, and then expression. So watch how this works. So penetration means, of course, there's the sexual connotation, but it's the esoteric, the subtle body penetration, meaning I feel like I'm already in my woman. I'm already breathing her. I'm already feeling what's it like to be in her soul, her being, her breath. And it's like I bring my gift to you. Penetration is I bring who I am to you and my gifts to the world. And when that happens, what you see is expression. So
yeah, you know, it's all of it. It's invitation for more of that. It's surrender because I've let go of the grip. There is no longer any grip. I don't have to. He's in me already. And that penetration, that feeling that he's already inside of me, it's just, I just want to show him how good that is. And
and that evokes my presence and claim and deeper penetration. So it's a game that you play. Now, of course, there's got to be with a healthy relationship.
Right.
Not one where there's abuse and all that. But in this circumstance, we play this. So sometimes in the day, I'll be more in my presence. Sometimes I'll say, okay, I need to have more claim energy. Sometimes I need to have more penetration energy.
Sometimes there's more invitation that's necessary. So sometimes I create a space for him where he feels like, okay, I can be, for instance, in his office. And maybe he needs his space cleared. So I invite him to be more present by clearing some of the space in his room and maybe lighting some incense or a candle or something. Then he's more ready.
So this game of ICE PCP, presence, claim, penetration, that evokes freedom and invitation, surrender, and expression evokes flow. So ultimately, it's about the play of freedom and flow. And we're always playing with that game as not as a have to or as a discipline, more as a blisscipline.
There you go. Oh man, you that's I love that word. That should be in the dictionary if it's not. Blissipin. It's a tongue twister, but maybe that's the point. Oh, beautiful. Oh, the play of freedom and flow. I appreciate the role play, if you will, or the examples of you guys sharing and those visuals of the masculine 3 options for men, not necessarily for men, but masculine, and then the 3 for the feminine. So presence, claim, penetration, invitation, surrender, expression. And I can, and it requires that presence to know what you're called to show up as, what the other, the energetics of the other, and how to best show up and embody what feels highest in that moment.
It's for what works in the relationship. It's again the devotion to each other.
Right.
And which one of those do we choose to bring out the best in our partner and to create that passion and to bring that passion
as a gift, not as a technique. We do this from a gifting place, not as a technical. And the other thing for those of you in young couples or any couples, start clumsy and keep going. Don't expect you're going to have this artful flow that we've cultivated over 30 plus years. Start clumsy and be dedicated to your lover in their clumsiness and lift each other into excellence over the years.
Now that I notice, just it feels light. It feels just like non-judgmental acceptance of whatever in yourself and the other. So starting clumsy, embrace the clumsiness. Because you can really overthink things. It's easy to take things too seriously and force things. So I imagine a fair amount of this also is important to do some of your own like physical embodiment. Like, what other exercises or strategies do you have to help support sacred sexuality and embodiment of these energetics in the physical body?
Absolutely. So I was going to say, you're in the clumsy, you're going to step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
Along the way. So say my partner steps on my toes.
Mm-hmm.
He's said something or done something that I feel is just way off, and
Or closing her down, upsetting her,
something like that, and he stepped on my toes. Now I can scream and yell and make it all about him, or I can take responsibility. And again, I'll bring you back to the dance. Say he steps on my toe. Okay, I can say, you know what, you're clumsy, you've done this, you've done that, but hey, was I really tuning into him? Am I tuning into him right now? So the idea is, come back and take what if we were to take 100% responsibility, not even 50-50, but 100% responsibility for the relationship. Because as Satyan says, we're going to step on each other's toes, we're going to get clumsy. But then when that happens, can I go in? And one of the things that we do is we go to our rooms. We literally do. So we have our own separate room that we sleep in at night. We don't sleep together. And for various reasons, one of them being going back to your own room. And it's physically true, but it's actually really the case. Going back and going, okay, what was it that had me be so unaware? Am I not taking self-care for myself and then blaming my partner for being unaware? Mm-hmm. How unaware was I? How can I give myself replenishment? And so one of the things I do to replenish my feminine is I go back, I take care of bodily myself. Maybe I need to take more baths. Maybe I need a massage. Maybe I need to be with the girls more.
Yeah.
Spend some time there, have some praise on that. Once I've replenished myself, when I come back, pretty sure I'm going to be more sensitive with him. He's more present with me because I'll be more inviting.
Every time Suzanne is with her feminine friends, female friends, and they do that, whatever they do in that magical world, which we're not privy to, when she comes back, she's glowing, she's radiant, she's gorgeous. I'm like, wow, more of that. No, and I think you feel the same when I do my stuff, right?
It's hot. It's so hot.
Yeah.
The masculine development, what I do is something that challenges me. And so for myself, it's martial arts. I study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And for me, that is a place where I go to really, test, challenge myself, keep me humble, keep me open, keep me receptive. After I'm done that, I've been beaten up by guys half my age. Then I come back humble. My old teacher used to say, it's better to be humble all the time than to be humiliated all at once. So I come back a little humbled but open and in my body. And when she can feel me in my body, it's a huge turn on. A lot of our masculine energy goes up and out of our head into thought realm, coordinating, problem solving, logic orientation. Yet when I drop deep into my body, then she can feel me. And that becomes the base of our attraction, me and my body.
Depth. Drop down,
right?
So I can feel that, and it has me relax, and it has me even more able to let go of the clutch of control.
Yeah, each of your choices to lean in deeper on the feminine or the masculine seems that, and everything we share, it has like a reciprocal effect on how the other person receives the other, and your own cup is filled, right? So a lot of the things, Suzanne, that you mentioned are like car talk when we live in the mountains. So when we go into the town, we're going into, like later tonight, we're going to go into town. And I told her earlier, like, be ready. I'm going to take you on a date night. And I'm practicing the masculine approach as well. We all have room for growth, and I want to keep leaning in and growing. So I love learning. I'm learning lots on this interview. But yeah, like, so the self-care, get into your physical body, like pretty much averages a bath a night in her tub, and a massage a week, and all of those practices. Those aren't just like typical self-care, selfish things. Those are essential care items. Yeah. Yeah. And then the masculine, you're calling me forward, Satyan. I've had some injuries and nerve pain that I've personally been dealing with. To share, I'm actually going to town to get an MRI tonight on my cervical spine. So that's honestly held me back from being more in my physical body. So now so I've been up here a lot. And I mean, I sauna pretty much daily. We have an infrared sauna. I get my body that way. I'll do some yoga, hiking. But I miss the competition and like the physical contact and like the warrior stuff, right? And so I might have to get some tips for you on Brazilian jiu-jitsu and some guidance from you, brother, on
Absolutely.
on that work. Well, this is great. I mean, your examples so far have been super valuable for me. I'm excited to hear how people might take away and implement and integrate a lot of what we covered already. A couple more questions, of course. I want to be mindful of time, but I do want to learn more from you guys. I know you have so much to offer. What are some of your, so you explained kind of self-care or like your own personal routines and approaches. Do you have any that overlap, that you have practices or rituals that you explore together, whether that's like mealtime, meditation, anything? It could be anything, walks, etc.
Tango.
There you
Suzanne has
go.
got me. Suzanne has started me in tango and has invited me into the tango world. I'm just a bare bones beginner.
Yeah.
But that's my edge.
Cool.
I don't consider myself a natural dancer, but you know what? That's my edge, and my lady loves it. And because my lady loves it, I'm going to take on a new practice and turn it from a discipline to a blissipline eventually when I get good at it. But that's one thing. We like to go for dinner date. We like to go for spontaneous dates as well. Mm-hmm. We like to make special times for love making, where okay, hey, and then we might do some sacred medicine journeys while we're love making, so that we're deepening our relationship with assistance and support from the earth plane, Mother Gaia, holding the container through the medicines.
We love personal growth. So for us, we get a turn on from listening to people who are growing and expanding their mind and their consciousness. So we have some practices where while making us, for us, it's one of the greatest things is this transformation. And so this is one of the things that we enjoy coming together. It's having that growth, hearing it, seeing it, experiencing it together.
Yeah. So we've, that's great stuff. And everything we've talked about so far around the polarity and the dynamics there. You talk about your sexual experiences, of course, and using plant medicines, which have experience with as well. That if you call it a stack, right? Stacking two different practices on top of each other, right? To really enhance experience and tap into spirit and Gaia. I love that example. So everything else that we've talked about here, embracing the masculine and the feminine, embracing those polarity, the dynamics there, doing that dance. Now, some people might not see how that affects sex life, but what I want to point out is I sense that a lot of those principles are like the foundational approach for just how we show up in a relationship, and that can naturally have a trickle-down effect for the sex life. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Right.
In the bed, outside of the bed, the same principles. Presence, claim, penetration.
Invitation, under expression.
I see what you guys are doing. All right. Now.
Look, I'm simple. I like to keep the theory simple that work everywhere.
Exactly. Okay. So awesome. So that.
I had one more solid thing I want to get it across. I was feeling. I don't make Suzanne my boyfriend, and Suzanne doesn't make me her girlfriend. Now, what we mean by that is there's times where I need to have chats about what's going on, mental stuff, challenges in business, this and this. I aim to minimize that and don't bring that to Suzanne that much. Why? Because it depolarizes, right? Now, the traditional idea is that I should share everything with her. No, I take it up with my brothers. Dudes, I'm dealing with this, my business colleagues, my team, I deal with that. I get it off my chest, I get redialing in, up leveling, you know, I get dialed in. Then I come back because there's stuff I don't and shouldn't bring to my woman. That's a big distinction.
Amanda has called me on that, just to be vulnerable. Yeah, like when I'm like, oh, babe, like this deal fell through, like I felt like I just wanted to vent. But for her, like that causes her to go into more worry mode and frustration. So yeah, so that's a great tip. So don't make the person that you vent all your other stuff to. Find other vehicles for that. And the same thing for the woman.
Exactly. So again, we have to remember we're coming in as whole people. We're coming in as whole people. And so my partner can, no matter how much I love him, no matter how much I love to be around him, he's my lover. He's my partner. He is my best friend, but he is not my girlfriend. And I can't make him that no matter how I try. And if I do finally turn him into my girlfriend.
By that means she means like talking a lot about emotions,
my
stories, all her stories with her friends, what's happening in their relationships, all of that stuff. I can only take so much.
And even so, 80% of the time, get this, 80% of the time, we should be spending apart. 20% of the time, we should be together.
Yeah.
In passion.
That's part of the reason why we moved to a bigger home, because we work from home. We just like 4x'd our square footage. So now I have my own work office, which I'm here like 75% of the working day at least. That's a really great tip. I've never heard that before, that percentage though. So 80% of the time you should have your own space and 20%. So is that part of the reason why you sleep and have your own separate rooms too?
Passion equals polarity.
Right.
So if we stay together, if you take two magnets, you put them together, after a while, just because of their proximity,
right,
the magnetism will be lessened.
Right. Well, I get a question.
Sorry, just because they're together.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense. And I've thought about that as well. And one thing for me personally, I've never lived on my own. I've never had like my own place. I've always had a roommate. So that was something I brought up to Amanda, and the underlying issue there is just wanting more space for my soul to dance on my own. Right. But one question I have though, in terms of own beds, I've also heard the opposite, that, well, it has to be for the right reasons. But if someone like doesn't sleep in the same bed as their partner because they're mad at them, or like those reasons, like that's probably not healthy. But maybe other people would also ask, like, what about cuddling? Like, do you guys ever sleep in the same bed, or like, you wake up and cuddle? Like,
it happens when I'm invited. So back to when she invites me to her room, wow, now it's a special deal. When I invite her to my room, it's a special deal. It's not by rote. It's not by momentum or by habit or flat. It's a special occasion
as well. It's by choice as well, from your power.
Right.
You desire your partner from your choice, not just because, well, we sleep together, we're going to be sleeping together for the rest of our lives. None of that. We're making it fresh every single time. It's fresh.
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And when we go to bed, our philosophy, our ways, we may not wake up in the morning. Mm-hmm. Really. Yeah. We've had friends pass away recently. We know the preciousness of life.
Yeah.
And so when we go to bed, we might not get to tomorrow, but when we do and we get tomorrow, now there's this, when's she going to come and visit me in the room? She's wakes up earlier. She wakes me up, brings me back into life. And then it's like, wow. So now it becomes that special time apart is used to to fire the flames of your passion, rather than a reactivity because you've had enough. I need a break. That's when you actually need to come together, stay present with each other, work on communicating to heal the rift, the ridge. But then, for passion's sake, take more space so that when you come back together, like imagine the walls of a house. If they're too close, the roof will fall. If they're too far apart from each other, will fall. Artistry in relationship is knowing when to have the walls a little further and when to come closer.
Yeah, that's an art. That's a beautiful art. Yeah, and it probably lessens the miscommunication of like, you know, like if you're in the same bed and you know, when you're invited, it's more clear that like, okay, there's like intention here, as opposed to just having to be a habit. We're doing it because we're doing it. Really, really interesting, and I could definitely see how that helps to magnify and stir the fire, as you said. That's a great way to put it. Well, you two, Suzanne, Satyan, it's just been a pleasure and an honor to unpack your amazing principles that you practice personally and share and support other couples and singles with. So I'm so excited for people to get a taste of this interview. And one thing I share on all of these interviews, I do encourage, if you are in a relationship, to go back, watch this, explore what was discussed, and create a space for you and your partner to see what you might want to integrate and try out and play with in your lifestyle. And this is that's, as opposed to just telling, like going back to your partner, oh, I learned this and this, we have to do this. Like, embrace it together, go through it together. So anyways, what is the best way, as we close here, for people to stay in touch with your great work? Where can they learn more, and what are some of the tools that you can offer?
Well, everyone can come to our website at warriorsage.com, and we've got here a special relationship course that's absolutely free that you can download. You could do it with your friends, your lovers, anyone, even online. And it's at warriorsage.com/relationship.
Perfect.
warriorsage.com/relationship. Download that, play around with it. You know, Bruce Lee, you know, we're influenced by Bruce Lee's philosophy, which is absorb what's useful, discard what's not, and come up with your own creations. So have fun with all of this. Keep it light, and remember, accept the, what did I say? The bumbling nature of our
clumsiness. Clumsiness, yes.
And love each other's clumsiness and mistakes and your own, and keep going.
Responsibility for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Strong human coming together in choice to build your passion.
Oh, amen. Yeah, keep leaning in, own your own experience, and your guys is you just exude and live the passion and the devotion to each other. So I'm just honored to be a witness, and as you were a part of, I got emotional thinking about Amanda and our love and devotion, and saw that in you, and it was just really beautiful to experience. So warriorsage.com/relationship. We'll have that linked down below. Take them up on this awesome offer for the free course, no matter if you're in a relationship or not. So grateful for you two. I can't wait to meet in person someday soon.
Yeah, you bet. TJ, yourself, your fiance, blessings to your relationship, yes. To Amanda.
Thank you.
And everyone who's listening, blessings to your relationship.
Amen.
Much love.
Beautiful. Thanks.